Okay, we're on. It looks like we've got 36, 44, 65 attendees.
Hello, everyone. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. Thank you. Again, thank you. If you're here, we're going to be starting in just a few minutes. Again, thank you. We're just waiting for a few people to join. I'm so gratified. It looks like we've got about 175 attendees already. This is incredible. Thank you. Okay. I'll begin with a little welcome and overview. So on behalf of the Utah Department of Heritage and Arts, Utah Cultural Alliance, Utah Museums Association, Utah Humanities, Salt Lake County Zoo Arts and Parks, Salt Lake City Arts Council, and the Division of Arts and Museums, welcome to the first of many information webinars dedicated to Utah's arts, museums, and cultural community. My name is Vicki Pinella-Borns, Director of the Utah Division of Arts and Museums. Putting this webinar together has been a team effort, and I'd like to acknowledge our partners. Crystal Young Otterstrom with the Utah Cultural Alliance, Ruth White, Utah Museums Association, Jody Graham, Utah Humanities, Kirsten Darrington, Salt Lake County Zoo Arts and Parks, and Felicia Baca, Salt Lake City Arts Council. Also, thanks to Jill Remington Love, Executive Director of the Utah Department of Heritage and Arts, and Kat Potter, Deputy Director. Jill Love and Kat Potter's leadership and coordination have been instrumental in all of us being with you today. We all find ourselves navigating the unknown in these uncertain times. I want you to know that we are here for you. We are listening to you, and we will do all we can to support you and your work. We are all in this together. Now more than ever, people need art, need creativity, need belonging, and these we can provide, and you provide. Your work brings joy and helps us through difficult times. Just like you, we are improvising as we go, trying new ways of working, new ways of serving, innovating new ways to connect. Each week, these webinars will bring different voices and opportunities to help Utah's cultural community. This is just a start. We're new at using this technology and appreciate your patience and understanding. There is a question feature that we encourage you to use. We have a couple of people who will be working to address your questions in real time, and those questions we may not get to will help us shape future webinars. There's also a chat function where we will post information and websites as we go through today's webinar. We appreciate your suggestions as we work to communicate with Utah's cultural sector. I am so grateful to live in Utah with such an innovative, creative, cultural community. We are also fortunate to have the steady leadership of Governor Gary Herbert and Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox. They have made difficult and timely decisions that will flatten the growth curve of the coronavirus. They are providing consistent reassurance and confidence in Utah's ability to weather this uncertain climate. The COVID-19 state website is your source for accurate, clear information. Governor Herbert and Lieutenant Governor Cox understand and appreciate the role of the arts and cultural organizations for our community. They recognize how your work enlivens, entertains, and educates, as well as preserves and protects our cultural heritage. And they do not make recommendations to suspend programming and close facilities lightly. I want to thank all of those that have brought your services to the public online. I have seen art galleries go online, museums providing lesson plans and virtual tours, and dance classes brought to your living room. This is very reassuring and much needed. So thank you for your innovation to bring your resources to the public. During our presentation today, we will hear from Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox, Chair of Utah's COVID-19 Task Force, Catherine Potter, Deputy Director of the Department of Heritage and Arts, who will provide an overview of COVID-19 mitigation efforts in Utah, particularly those applicable to cultural groups. Crystal Young Otterstrom, Executive Director of the Utah Cultural Alliance, will provide an overview of the Cultural Community Economic Impact Survey results. Finally, I will share information regarding the Utah Division of Arts and Museums grant program, and Kat Potter will review federal, state, and city economic development resources. As a reminder, this is just the beginning of hosting these webinars. Additional topics and presenters will join us in the future. So to begin, I greatly appreciate Lieutenant Governor Cox's leadership of the COVID-19 task force. His efforts have been instrumental in keeping Utahns safe and healthy, and it is my honor to welcome Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox to speak with us today.
Thank you, Victoria and Kat and everyone who's on this call. Jill, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's been just a crazy 2 weeks. I don't think any of us have ever maybe experienced anything quite like this, but we're grateful for your efforts and for what all of you are doing to help lift the spirits of the people here of the state of Utah. I told somebody the other day that I expect a true creativity burst from the people of our state who are spending time, some in isolation, some with their families, but all of us working for a common goal of trying to prevent the spread of this virus. We recognize that this is taking a toll, a psychological toll, an economic toll, and of course a health toll on those that are being impacted directly with the virus. But there is no place I would rather be during such a crisis than here, surrounded by the good people and of Utah, and with all of you who make a difference in our lives in so many ways that we appreciate and sometimes maybe forget to express how much we appreciate. So on behalf of Governor Herbert and the 3.2 million people of the state of Utah, let me just say thank you for what you do for our state to enrich and enliven everything that we do. We do know that the next few weeks are going to be difficult. We are significantly increasing testing for the coronavirus, and of course, as we increase testing, we will see those numbers climb. That is actually good news in that we'll actually hopefully learn over the next week the true extent of the spread of the virus throughout the state. It's one of the things that has really been missing, unfortunately, is enough testing to see how far widespread this is. This will also help us, though, get ahead of it by being able to find those that are impacted directly and figuring out the people that they may have infected, getting them sequestered so that they're not spreading the virus anymore, and eventually getting on the other side of this. So again, I'm grateful for your leadership. I appreciate the hard work. I'm glad that this group is coming together to support each other and talk through ways that we can make things better. With that, I have 5 other calls I have to jump on, and so I apologize for getting off. But please know how grateful we are, and Jill will contact us with ideas or things that we need on our end. So again, thank you, and I'll yield my time.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. We so appreciate your leadership at this time, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your incredibly busy schedule to join us today. Thank you so much. So moving on, I'm just going to be brief with this section of our presentation because I'm going to say some information that we all know already, but I think it's worth reiterating. First and foremost, I just want to tell everybody we do care about your organizations, but we care more than anything about your health, your employees' health, your family's health. So please, before we do anything else, make sure you're taking care of your own health. Please follow the guidelines that are put in place. Please take the precautions that you need to keep yourself safe in this time. All of that information can be found on our state website, on the coronavirus.utah.gov website, and that's information about maintaining distance when you're out in public, washing hands, stay home if you're sick, telework if possible. We know that's not always possible. Before you go into a hospital, call ahead, use the Intermountain Healthcare Symptom Checker. All of those things will really help us not to overwhelm our medical system. So thank you for keeping yourself safe, because by keeping yourself safe, you'll keep everyone around you safe, and hopefully will help to flatten the curve. We recognize that there are a number of directives that have been put in place, both at the federal level, the state, the local level, that will impact and have already impacted the work that you do. That includes limiting gatherings to no larger than 10 people, which for anyone involved in the performing arts, we know has meant that you have not been able to move forward with your scheduled activities. Closure of different facilities that would enable you to put on those performances and events, closure of restaurants and bars, which affects us all. It's not always possible, as I mentioned, to telecommute, and not all arts organizations are equipped for that. And school closures. We know that closed schools and children at home really impacts our ability to do the work. So please know that although these measures have needed to be put in place for public health reasons, we recognize that these impact you. We also recognize that the time period of decisions is also of great impact. We know that if you're planning in 2-week increments, if we know that the schools are closed for 2 weeks and then we're going to reevaluate, it's really hard, especially when you're planning events and performances, to know how long these are going to continue. Even though things are shut down until the end of March, when you have an event in early April or mid-April or even into May, it's hard to know whether to move that to a virtual event or cancel altogether or postpone. And we recognize that. Again, these decisions that the state is making are being made for public health reasons. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for paying attention to these policies that are put in place, and we will find a solution. Later in this call, we're going to talk about possible relief efforts, economic relief efforts that will help you as individuals and you as organizations. But the next thing we want to talk about is the results of the Cultural Economic Impact Survey that we put out as partners, that the Utah Cultural Alliance has been instrumental in getting these results summarized. We sent out a summary to you all. I hope you've had a chance to review it, but we'll send out a link again at the end of this call. But we are going to go over some of those high-level results so you can see what we have already learned about the impact of coronavirus, COVID-19 on our cultural community. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic here to Crystal Young-Otterstrom, who is the Executive Director of the Utah Cultural Alliance.
Hi, let me share my screen so you can see our results here. All right, I hope that you can see my screen, see my slides. Somebody let me know if you cannot. My name is Crystal Young-Otterstrom with Utah Cultural Alliance, and I also want to thank all of our partners for working together on this survey, and to the 500 plus of you who have taken this survey. In fact, we're close to getting 600 people. I can tell you that the results are sobering. So first, here is where we are kind of as a sector before COVID. So on average, individual creatives have 2.6 months of cash reserve on hand. Organization has 4.9 months of cash reserves on hand. We had pretty good response across the state in terms of counties served, and a pretty good smattering of different sizes of operations responding, as well as individual artists and scholars gaining income from the cultural industries. These survey results are the results of about 534 responses, 46.8% of whom were individual artists and humanities scholars or other individual cultural practitioners. 53.2% were cultural organizations. Of those, about 72.4% were nonprofits. Of the survey responders, they employed about 7,900 people. So we know that while these numbers that you're about to hear are very depressing and concerning and sobering for our sector, we know that this is really just a small slice of the pie, and that concerns us even more greatly. So I'm going to dive into kind of the impacts on organizations first and then individuals. So 88.2% of organizations responding have canceled or postponed events. And they expect the majority of them expect this financial impact to be extremely severe or mostly severe. On nowplayingutah.com, we list 768 and growing canceled or postponed events. And you can see those at nowplayingutah.com/COVID-19. The vast majority of respondents have seen income increase, and this is the most concerning number. So non-admissions income, the $17 million of loss already experienced by survey respondents, that includes things like grants, loss of philanthropic dollars, loss of a gift shop income, other kinds of earned income. The admissions revenue is from canceled tickets or canceled events. That's a little over $11 million. That total loss is $29 million. Now looking at individual artists, again, large numbers of gigs, events, and contracts have been impacted. The vast majority are seeing 5 to 10 events canceled so far because of COVID. We asked them how this impacts their financial health, and as you can see, it's going to impact them. At least 3/4 will have a moderate amount. The majority will see a good amount or critical amount to their overall financial stability. They are pretty mixed as to, are their emergency needs in jeopardy? This is another sobering slide, like all of these slides, but I mentioned that about 7,900 jobs were the aggregate pre-COVID numbers. About 4,000 of them are in jeopardy, with another 642 terminated to date. And when they indicated that they were likely to lower salaries or lay off staff, about half of them said that they were, and so the actual numbers actually match what they indicated was likely to happen. Now, on the positive side, we as a sector are more adept at creativity and innovating than perhaps any other industry is. So while the vast majority of us are having to cancel and postpone events, more and more of us are looking at increasing our online presence. More and more organizations are looking at work from home policies, increasing sick policy only. A lot of you commented that these policies that do exist are new. Of course, what's concerning is almost 40% of orgs don't have such a policy for either. And so we encourage all of our organizations to be looking at those kinds of policies as you look to adapt to these changing circumstances. We are listing all virtual events on nowplanutah.com/virtual. This is just a screenshot of what the page looks like. You can let us know about your virtual events by sending them to events@nowplanutah.com, or you can submit them yourself through the site. Now, we make a number of recommendations to elected officials and decision makers in terms of how to help the sector. Of course, first and foremost is increasing grants and making them available, increasing SBA loans, helping us with sick leave and healthcare costs, etc. You can read through this, and Kat is going to talk you through some of the results that already exist. Last but not least, this is where you can find the report. So as your situation changes, we encourage you to take the survey again, or you can go back through your confirmation email and edit your results directly. If that's too hard for you, then take it again and we can dedupe it. We will update the result, the survey weekly, and send it out every Friday with the new numbers. So this Friday you can see the upcoming numbers. And with that, I give the microphone back to Kat, and she will talk to you about some of the financial resources that we have all been working on creating for you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. I'm going to talk a little bit about financial resources that are available, and then Vicki will talk more about the Utah Division of Arts and Museums grants process and how that is evolving in response to the needs of the community. First of all, we know that there are economic stimulus packages being discussed at the federal level. Those are still in discussion in the Senate, and we will keep you updated as that moves forward, as things change moment to moment in terms of what that might look like for us. I can say that Americans for the Arts sent out an email this afternoon. Many of you probably saw it. The anticipated financial impact to our sector is $3.6 billion at this point. So it is significant. So that is a number that our federal legislators will see and hear and listen to, we hope. And so the current recommendations are for not only increased funding to the NEA that can be distributed then to the states, also to the National Endowment of Humanities, into the Institute of Museum and Library Services, to encourage and incentivize more charitable giving and more charitable giving quickly. So there are a number of provisions in that stimulus package that could roll down and help our organizations. So we will keep you updated as that moves forward. I do have to say, you know, there is a lot of uncertainty, and information is changing day to day and evolving, and we're learning of more opportunities. So this is by no means a comprehensive list. So please do check the Utah coronavirus webpage. There is a specific site that is specific to business resources, and that's coronavirus.utah.gov/business. And even though you are nonprofits, you still are businesses. So read through that. Not everything will be applicable, but quite a few of the opportunities that are available to small businesses also include nonprofits. So some of those include the small business disaster loans, which are available for nonprofits. In fact, there is a lower interest rate for nonprofits than there is for for-profit small businesses. And at this point, self-employed artists also seem to be included and eligible for small business loans as well, in addition to organizations. Salt Lake City has an emergency loan program that they have put in place. And this is for any organization of 50 employees or under that is a small business. It is a 0% interest rate. It's an excellent opportunity for some immediate funding. And please, if you're interested in this, take a look at this website, take a look at this today. There is a deadline of midnight tonight, so it is urgent. If you would like to be eligible, there may be future rounds of loans available, but for now, if this is something you're interested in, please look at this as soon as you get off of this call. You will need a guarantor for your loan, which is likely going to be your board chair, so please engage your board chair in that conversation so that you can move forward with that application process. In addition to that, as part of that program, our Salt Lake City Arts Council is part of the Economic Development Department, and Felicia Baca, who is the Executive Director of the Arts Council, will actually sit on the committee that is reviewing those loan applications. So she will keep a specific eye out for those of you that are cultural organizations. So please know that this is 100% available to cultural organizations and not just to for-profit small businesses. In terms of rent and mortgages, I know some of you may own your facility, some of you may rent, you may be concerned about rent payments. Some of the most severe penalties have been suspended in terms of foreclosures and evictions, but a lot of that is lender or landlord dependent. I encourage you to reach out to your landlord or your bank or your lender and find out what their policies are and find out if they will work with you to give you some kind of break on your immediate mortgage payment or rent. There is a sense of community and collaboration. Everyone wants to do what they can. So never hesitate to ask. Always ask if there is a willingness to help. In terms of individuals, I know some of you may be concerned for yourselves or for your employees if you're thinking that you might have to lay off employees. Also know that there are unemployment benefits, and those are also on that business page. You can find information on how to access unemployment through the Utah Department of Workforce Services. You can register for unemployment. There's also information on child care assistance and food assistance. And if you're self-employed, I believe at this point that you're not eligible for unemployment benefits, but that's a conversation that is ongoing. So if that becomes an opportunity that those of you who are self-employed may be able to apply for unemployment, we will certainly let you know and we will update that. In addition, you've probably all heard about this. The tax filing deadline has been extended to July 15th. I know as nonprofits, as an organization, this doesn't have as much of an impact on you, but certainly as individuals, your tax filing deadline is now moved to July 15th. So hopefully for some of you that will help you personally. For any of you who also have a part-time job in the food service industry or have employees that work as bartenders, as servers, as other food service workers, also, if you haven't already heard about it, Salt Lake City business owner and actor Ty Burrell has put in place the seed funding for a fund that is going to be implemented through the Downtown Alliance and Salt Lake City that is called Tip Your Server. And that will allow food service workers that have been laid off or cannot have the income that they are used to also apply for some help at this time. And it is actually employer driven. If you are a food service worker who is not able to work right now, please contact the restaurant or organization that you worked for, and they will apply on your behalf for that assistance. There are also some other funds that we have been putting in place. The Utah Cultural Alliance has started a fund that will help individual artists get through this tough time. That is available on the Utah Cultural Alliance website. And there's also a new page on the coronavirus.utah.gov website. It's coronavirus.utah.gov/help. And there are areas that we're encouraging people to donate to. This includes immediate relief. It includes the Tip Your Server program. And it also includes a new fund that the state has created that will help nonprofit organizations and cultural organizations. This is has been just created. We're still figuring out what all the details are. We're working with the philanthropic community to provide additional funding, and we hope to make more information on that fund available to you soon about how to apply. But this will specifically be for nonprofit and cultural organizations to apply for some economic relief in this time period. Again, everything is evolving day to day, so please keep checking back on these sites and we will continue to email you updated information. Finally, I encourage you to be as innovative as possible. It's not always possible for arts organizations to pivot and shift when we're a service-based organization that thrives on live interaction, but it is amazing what can be done in this period where we're all stuck in our own little bubbles through online resources. I've already seen online dance classes, online yoga classes, poetry readings, reading time from libraries, whatever you can to keep that connection with your audiences. You know, whether you are generating income from it or not, that will help them to feel connected to you, to feel like you're still a part of their lives, and that maybe they'll realize that they need to keep supporting you, and perhaps, I know it's a difficult time, but perhaps even provide donations where they might not have been your major funders in the past. So keep those connections alive and keep your work alive. it's being done in the restaurant industry, and I know some arts organizations are doing it as well. If you can think ahead and sell gift certificates or gift cards and ask people to think ahead to their Christmas gifts now, that might be a way also to bring in some income. Those are just small fixes, but just some thoughts. I know you're already thinking in this way. Again, we'll continue to update you, and I'm going to now pass it back to Vicki to talk a little bit about the grant program at the Utah Division of Arts and Museums.
Thank you so much, Kat. So as a staff, we are communicating with our colleagues all over the country, learning how they are handling this situation. There have been calls with the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies, grant makers in the arts, and we have joined other webinars. All the partners on this webinar are working together to share resources and to post them online. Thank you to Laurel Cannon-Alder and Raquel Cornali on our grants team for their diligence. Currently, most of our staff are working remotely and are available to you. If you can't reach someone by phone, use email. All of our contact information is online. Again, we're working to coordinate our efforts with other major government agency funders in Utah, as well as our national counterparts. We know these are difficult times of making unprecedented decisions. This is an update for where we are headed right now, knowing that this is a pretty fluid time. General operating support grants. The majority of our grant dollars are invested as general operating support grants. There will not need to be any alterations to those grants. We are on the second year of a 2-year cycle. Our grants team has been sending communications via email. If you have questions about our general operating support grants and the 2-year cycle, please reach out to them. We are grateful to the legislature for continued support of the grants program. We are anticipating that we will be able to contract with you following the completion of a final report for a similar amount to the grant award that you received this year. For those who are applying for the first time this year, we extended the application deadline by 1 week, and they are now due March 27th at 5 p.m. Project grants are specifically time sensitive, and we know you've had to make adjustments or cancellations. We're going to work with you in some way to provide flexibility and support on your grants. The details of how we'll be able to accommodate your needs will be defined over the coming weeks, and we ask for your patience as we figure things out. Please rest assured that we stand ready to assist our applicants and awardees in the coming weeks and months, and we will continue to keep in contact with you. Thank you for so quickly responding to the Cultural Impact Survey so that we have good information to work from. One of the roles in representing the cultural sector of the state is to gather and help to communicate this type of information. We are grateful to have been able to partner with Utahns for Culture, Utah Museums Association, Utah Humanities, Salt Lake City Arts Council, and the Salt Lake County ZAP program to coordinate this effort. Thank you for your candor about your current situation and what you find yourselves dealing with. I take solace in knowing that we are all in this together. The work that you are doing is important, perhaps now more than ever. The cultural vitality of our state is unique, and we appreciate your commitment to it. We hope that you will exercise wisdom in making financial decisions. There were a few candid answers that concerned us in terms of caring for your organization. Please always exercise wisdom and caution, as well as nonprofit best practices with your agencies. Use your board as a resource to help you as you make your future decisions. As you have heard, you and your work are valued. We are resilient. This will be over, and we will get through this together. We will continue to have these meetings at 3:30 on Mondays, and we'll post the recordings and notices on our websites. We're working to consolidate information. Your understanding and patience are greatly appreciated as we move forward. Utahns are resilient. You are resilient. We will get through this. So please take care of yourself. If you're healthy, you will make better decisions, and you can better take care of you, your family, and your organization. Sing, dance, make art, read poetry, listen to music, take time to bring joy into your life. As we mentioned when we sent out this notice, we are all witness to a time in history that will be told for generations. Such a time calls for the creativity and resilience common to the arts and humanities. No one will be exempted from the impacts of COVID-19. While we recognize that attention must be paid first and foremost to the life-saving work happening now, we also need to do better than simply live. Thank you for your courage and determination as we deal with COVID-19 and the effects of our recent earthquake. Virtual hugs to all. Talk to you soon.